My name is Sue Jennings. I'm a storyteller, a story writer and a traveller. I want to talk today about the story of Moose and Mouse. I began playing with ideas of these two characters several years ago, but it was still in my head. It didn't come out of me as a told story or as a written story. It was just something I was playing with. And I liked the idea that the names were so similar, but that the two creatures were so different. And part of my idea was to write a story about difference and about friendship. Moose, large and heavy, with his big feet clomping down through the forest, with a deep, deep voice. A little mouse, same colour as Moose, funnily enough, but she was very tiny, squeaky, running hither and there, and very curious. And this was a quality that Moose liked about Mouse. He was slow and plodding along, and she was running everywhere, hither and thither. It all started when Mouse climbed up on top of Moose's head, and he felt a tickling and wondering what on earth was going on. And then he heard this squeaky voice asking him to be careful. He said, "What are you doing on my head? It's private property." Mouse said, "Please, can't we be friends?" So Moose said they could only be friends if they could see each other. So Mouse came down Moose's nose very slowly and carefully until she could get onto a little rock and he could look at her. And from that moment they decided they would be friends and they would go on adventures. So the Moose and Mouse stories are adventure stories. And in one book, which is Moose and Mouse's Big Adventure, Moose decides it's time to go and see the big water, as he calls it. So they ride along merrily along a forest path until they can see the water. And Mouse is so excited that there is this big, big lake. And Moose says, "Hold on tight, we're going across to the other side." Mouse is so scared. "I can't swim," she said, "I can't swim." "Hold tight," said Moose. "Hold on to my fur, hold on to my antlers." Suddenly Mouse had an idea, and she ran all the way down onto the ground and into the forest and came back with a long piece of ivy. She put the ivy round about Moose's antlers so she had a bridle, and she held on tight. Then Moose slowly walked into the water, because Moose are very good swimmers and they can swim very fast. But this time he was taking it slowly because Mouse might be afraid. He started to swim and swim, and Mouse held on tight to the bridle made of ivy, and eventually they got to the other side. Mouse was very proud that she'd managed to make the journey. They were both quite wet by this time, so they shook their fur and ran around for a little bit until their fur was dry. And that was the very first adventure that Moose and Mouse went on. Having done that, they decided to plan for the big adventure. This was a really big one because it meant going to another country, to Mongolia. Mouse had never heard of Mongolia, but Moose said, "It's a country where there are other moose. Bit different from me, but they're still moose and I want to go and meet them. Do you want to come with me?" "Oh yes," said Mouse. "You'll look after me because I'm so small. And if there are lots of moose, they're going to be very, very big." "Don't worry," said Moose. "There's lots of things to do, not just finding other moose, but the people there live in great big coloured tents that are very, very beautiful. And the people there wear very brightly coloured clothes, which are also very beautiful. So there'll be a lot of new things for you to see, I'm sure." And already Moose and Mouse were planning to go to Mongolia.